발달장애인이 있습니다. 그 여정에 함께하는 위드 슬로우 스타터 캠페인을 시작합니다. 더 많은 첫걸음이 시작될 수 있도록 발달장애인의 출발을 응원해주세요. 공익광고 협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
High school, university, and then your first job. This is the typical formula that young people follow, or at least are expected to follow. But the period between, let's say, college or university and getting that first real job is getting longer and longer for young people here in South Korea. And the thing is that this prolonged unemployment period, this can also affect their future pension earnings, possibly threatening their post-retirement life when you think about it in the long run. And we know good things take time. We do understand that, but we also want young people to have at least, the minimal level of security, do we not? I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, November 22nd on BEFM, 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers, TGIF. Oh, I'm the first one in today. We have a little mini race going for those of you who don't tune in through the YouTube channel. If you visit our chat room, you'll see it's very lively. Whichever way you tune into our program, welcome on this Friday morning. Let me ask you this question. Assuming that, you're a full-fledged adult, how long did it take you to get your first job out of school? So this is, if you finished just high school or went on to college or university, how long did it take to get that first kind of real job, not like part-time job? Well, whether it's from, the choice or I guess a lack of choices or jobs, it's taking younger people a lot longer to get that real job, the first job. According to Statistics Korea and the Ministry of Health, about half of young people in the 15 to 29 age group are not participating in economic activities. On average, it took someone out of school, so high school or university, 11 and a half months, or basically almost a year, to find their first employment. Almost a year. This is over, a year longer than last year, and the longest period since record-taking began. So, significant number of these people, I'm talking about nearly a quarter, they weren't actively seeking employment, nor engaged in vocational training, studying for exams, nor helping out at home. So, these young people, this figure, are just resting, kind of on a break. 쉬고 있다. 쉬었음 was higher than during the COVID years, to the highest figure ever of 443,000. Not really doing much of anything. And this speaks volumes about the state of our economy, and that slow growth leads to fewer hiring of young people. But this ultimately hurts growth in the long run, and it isn't great when you look at the bigger picture for the whole country, and it's young people and where we are headed. And I know that there are some people who really, really got lucky. For example, William. William says, I got my first job right out of college and kept it for 40 years. So you're one of the few. And for the fact that, it was straight out of college and that you stayed on the job, I believe at the same place, right, for 40 years, that is, like, in this day and age, amazing, like almost unheard of. So that's what we're tackling today. All right. now, though. That's our overall theme, and we want to hear all your stories about that. For our text topic, though, we're going to switch gears just a little. What work of art, or maybe building, or artifact would you like to see in person? Or maybe you went to one of these and you were like, wow, like capital WOW. And you were so astonished by it when you saw it in person. 자, 실제로 실물로 보고 싶은 작품, 유적지, 보물은 또 내가 봤을 때 좋아서 추천하고 싶은 유적지 미술품은? So we're looking for not just recommendations, but also like things that you really have been looking forward to, and maybe it's on your bucket list as well, right? So send in those responses to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Like I said, we are streaming live right now as we speak. Go to that platform and you can search for BEFM or 부산영어방송. You can subscribe, log in, and chat away with our other waivers. Also on your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 101. You can also reach me for free on Kakao Talk. Same thing there. Search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 to send in your messages. You can send in photos as well. The ways you can listen to us, 90.5 or 103.3 FM on the radio. That's if you're in the vicinity of Busan. And like I said, we're streaming live on YouTube. You can watch again at your leisure. We're available on 2 apps. We have our own app. So you go to your store, search for BEFM 부산영어방송 to download it for free. We're also available on the Patbang app as well. It is Friday, so we have Casey with Foreign Press Highlights. We have Vasana with What in the World. And for a special interview, this is a very timely interview because right now, lots of people around me, even I have a little tickle in my throat, but I'm okay. But, this is a time to beware of respiratory infections. It's that time again. So our resident expert in hour number 2, she's going to tell us all about the things we need to be on the lookout for. That's coming up. So in order to protect your health and the health of your loved ones, stay tuned for the entirety of our program. I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:07. These are today's headlines. South Korea confirms North stole 56 billion won in cryptocurrency. The National Office of Investigation of the National Police Agency confirmed yesterday that North Korean hackers were behind the theft of 58 billion won worth of Ethereum in 2019. Lee Jae-myung appeals suspended sentence for election law violation. Main opposition Democratic Party or DP leader Lee Jae-myung has appealed his suspended prison sentence for violating election law to the Seoul Central District Court yesterday. Unionized rail workers threaten strike starting December 5th. The walkout, if implemented, is expected to affect the operations of high-speed KTX and regular train services across the country and subway services in the capital area. Putin says Russia used intermediate-range ballistic missile against Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has confirmed that Russia fired a hypersonic medium-range ballistic missile at a Ukrainian military site and warned the West that Russia was ready for any developments. ICC issues arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Judges at the International Criminal Court, or ICC, have issued arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and Hamas military commander Mohammed Deif. And these are today's headlines. It's time to check in with Haley. It's that day, our favorite day.
Friday,
Yay.
finally.
I took a little peek at our messages, and one stood out to me also because they're, how do you say, the little icon for the username. It's in Burgundy. So again, Waver says, good morning. 소풍 도시락 싸는 여자 피곤하네요.
It's picnic day, but it's so chilly.
I know. Oh, so I wonder what you're making. 뭐 만드세요?
But kids don't care. They're going to be running around.
But I want to know the menu.
I know. I'm like, is
curious.
it kimbap? Is it yubuchobap? Is it?
뭘까요?
And then they do the cute little. So Leah, and this is like the third day in a row she's made an appearance. I saw on her social media she
Right.
made the cute little like panda faced rice balls, and I was like, how? Like, can I? may I?
Can you make it for
you
me?
You want a daughter who's not that much younger than you?
So if you're still listening,
Yes.
kudos for you waking
Seriously,
up
oh my
early
gosh.
and packing, the lunch for a field trip day. But what did you pack?
Also,
Let us
yeah.
know. All right, we're going to jump into our first. Oh, no. I got to ask you.
I was like, are you not going to ask
No,
me?
I'm going to.
But I have so many
I
answers.
get distracted by the food, because I'm so hungry.
I know. We always do.
All right. Okay, so what work of art or building or anything like an artifact were you impressed with, or are you dying to see?
I really want to. It's on my list. I want to go to Florence, Firenze, and just the city. The entire city actually. But yeah, just the Medicis and their artifacts, and then also in Korea because there is one 종묘. In Seoul. This is, by the way, for non-Korean listeners, this is where the not the burial, but it's where the 제사, the memorial ritual, takes place for the kings of Joseon dynasty.
Yes.
And it's apparently this like architectural marvel.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Oh, so international and domestic.
Yeah,
Nice.
got
to. All right, for first update, the Supreme Court has confirmed the prison sentence for a defendant in a major local rental scam case.
Right. So this is a 전세사기 case, rental scam case that went all the way up to the top court, 대법원. So the Supreme Court yesterday confirmed a 15-year prison sentence for this defendant who committed rental scams worth 18 billion won.
Yes.
By the way, 15 years is the maximum sentence you can get for financial scams. So the defendant is Che, a woman in her 50s who rented out housing units in Suyeonggu, took 18 billion won from 229 people without returning their deposits. So she apparently bought 9 studio apartment or like one-room buildings.
Okay.
And collectively had 296 units in total. And she had no capital of her own going into this. So it's called a gap investment, 무자본 갭 투자. Basically using the deposits from one building to pay for the next building that she bought, so on and so forth until, well, everything fell apart.
Well, I think that this particular ruling really shows how seriously the courts are taking rental scams, and it's a good thing.
Right. I mean, as they should,
Right.
because these 200 people, they're usually younger people who used all of their life savings so far, plus loans to pay for these.
The younger.
Right,
Yes.
these deposits. So this is the first ruling. Actually, in the first ruling in the 초심 1심,
Yes.
the prosecution requested 13 years in prison. The court actually upped it to 15, which
Wow.
rarely ever happens. Because according to the judge in the first trial,
Yes.
rental scams, they shake up the very foundation of the average people by using their deposits, which is usually their life savings, as a means of personal profit. And the appeals court upheld this ruling. Finally, the Supreme Court. It is once again the first Supreme Court ruling on any rental scam issue and will work as important precedents in cases moving forward.
Oh, and let this be a deterrent.
Right, let
like,
it be
seriously.
an example, please.
All right, up next, let's talk about our local Sajik Stadium, which is finally getting remodeled with the goal of reopening by the year 20. Is this? Tell me it's a typo.
It's not a typo. It's
2031.
2031. So baseball fans rejoice, but also wait 7 years, I guess. So Busan City announced plans to remodel the city's main baseball stadium to a scale of 21,000 seats to be reopened by 2031. It is a 3-year delay from the initial plans because they were supposed to break ground earlier and finish by 2029. That's not happening. But good news, direction of the reconstruction, they are going as initially planned.
Okay.
So it's going to be a vastly expanded site from 36,000 square meters right now to 61,000. It's going to be a downfield format. So think of it as similar with the Dodger Stadium and the NC Dinos in Korea, where the fields are actually lower than the ground floor. The budget also because of this has been vastly increased from the initial 234 billion won to 326 billion won. That's actually why we saw this delay, because Busan City and the Lotte Giants are dividing up the cost of the construction, but because of the increased human personnel costs, they have been talking. They have been talking and talking and talking. The initial plans split the cost 7-3, Busan City 7, Lotte Giants 3. There was a considerable back and forth over who would pay for the differential. Ultimately, Busan City is going to pay for the added cost.
Okay.
Lotte, for its part, will foot the 81.7 billion won bill. That includes remodeling the other stadium, the Asiad Main Stadium, located right next to Sajik. So that'll be used as a temporary home field for the Lotte Giants for 3 seasons. The key now, though, for Busan City is securing that extra budget from the city council.
So once again, the good news is things are moving along, but
At a slower pace than planned. Yeah.
Snail's pace. Snail's pace. All right. Let's move on to the topic that is hot right now, the season of college admissions. It's happening right now. So we have an idea as to the general scores students would need to get into the local schools, right?
Right. So the Busan Admission Support Team under the Education Office, they've announced their analysis of the preliminary scores, the 가채점 결과, of some 13,000 high school students in Busan. So here's the thing. This year's 수능, the CSATs, were slightly easier than usual.
Okay.
While that is maybe less painful while you're in the seat taking the exam, that also means you needed to have scored better than in the previous years to get into schools, period, to the universities of your choice. So for Busandae, Busan National University, PNU, compared to the standard deviation last year, you would have needed to score between 7 and 11 points higher to get into PNU's humanities, the 인문계 majors. 6 to 13 points higher for natural sciences, 자연계. The CSATs, they're out of 300 points.
Yes.
So for business school at PNU, you need to have gotten 249 to kind of be safely in.
Okay.
Public administration / economy major, 247 points. Chemical engineering and bioengineering, 253. Computer and electrical engineering, 250. So you need to have done quite well.
Yes.
Pugyong National University, PKNU, for the business administration,
Yes.
227. Media communications, similar, 226. And also computer and AI engineering, 225. For Donga, to get into their nursing program, 223 to be safe. Computer engineering, 203 points.
And so those are the kind of the 3 major local schools
Right.
that students do focus on here. But med school, let's talk about medical school. Always a hot topic. So the cutoff school scores are of much interest. And, this is, for now.
For now.
It's like not set in stone.
Right. This is an analysis, but it is by the expert and the education authorities. And you said medical schools are always the hot topic, but because they have the added quota, but also then added competition. So they're about 1 to 8 points higher than last year. We're just going to go over the Busan Area Medical School. PNU Med School, if you are gunning for that regional affirmative action, 지역 인재 전형, slightly lower, 287, but for regular admissions, 289.
Okay.
Right, so just 11 points out of the entire perfect score.
Yes.
For Inje University Medical School, 286 for regional, 288 for the regular.
Okay.
Donga, we're looking at between 284 and 287. 고신대, 282 to 285.
Okay, so that's for med school.
Yes.
So once again, for everybody who is, there's a lot of measuring and guesstimating, a lot of consulting going on right now for admissions.
best of luck, right?
Oh, absolutely. I know it's a very nerve-wracking time right now. Now, lastly, there are several events going on this weekend in anticipation of the INC5, the Intergovernmental Panel for the Binding Agreement for Plastic Solution.
Right. So plastic pollution solution, that meeting will take place next week, but Busan City is gearing up for warming up with events to raise public awareness
Yes.
on the plastic pollution issue and the need to reduce such pollution. So head to the Cinema Center this weekend for Hi Busan Buy Plastic events. That's a Saturday and Sunday, tomorrow and the day after from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. There will be various upcycling events and experiences that use banners, trash. You can make your own eco-friendly fabric softener because, yes, fabric softener, 섬유유연제, it is not that great for the water system, and some other 20 events and exhibitions. Also, a media art piece by the Busan Museum of Art, which is currently undergoing renovation. So this is like one of the only opportunities for us to see an art installation piece by the local museum. Also, nearby at the Hyundai Motor Studio in Busan, they're doing a design exhibition with an eco-friendly theme. So definitely check all of these out.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for the updates, Haley. Back to you, the waivers for our text topic. Real quick, what work of art or like amazing or, really, treasured building or artifact would you like to see in person? Or maybe you've actually seen a work of art and you were just like amazed, astonished by it when you saw it in person, or you're really moved by it, whatever it was. That's what we're looking for. So send in your responses, and here's your traffic and weather for right now. Here's your traffic report. There is an accident on Daeyeongno from Dongdaesin intersection to Yeongju intersection, right at the entrance of Busan Tunnel. So please be aware of this. It's causing major backup. Also, slow on the Dongso overpass from Hwangyang Tunnel to the old Kaegum toll gate. There is also a lane closure in Jangpyeong underpass, the Kamcheon to Ulsukdo direction. So I hope this helps you as you go about your day. As for the weather, today is Soseol, one of the solar cycles, which usually goes in line with the first snow of the winter season. Busan, obviously, we're not going to see any snow, but it is cold. Currently, it's 7. It's going to go up to 15 degrees today. And parts of Gyeonggi and Gangwon will see snow and frost. It's going to be a very crisp but clear weekend with an expected low of 6 and a high of 15 degrees Celsius. That's actually for both tomorrow and Sunday. And this was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for News Digest. So Haley's with us right now. Oh, I wish we had a camera that would show what we do off air.
Oh my God, no.
Because technically I'm like, she's back with us and you're probably thinking, wasn't she there the whole time? She's
Kind
so
of.
busy.
I was,
Kind of.
but then I wasn't.
Yeah. Magic happens. So this is News Digest. We're going to go over the top news. So first, a senior presidential official has apologized for calling a journalist rude during President Yoon Suk-yeol's press conference. So can you explain what happened?
Right. So by the way, we do have a 미리보기, a little preview in Korean
Yes.
of what I'm going to be talking about because things are complicated on News Digest. This is why we digest it, but you can check out our YouTube.
Only on Morning Wave in Busan.
Yes, which is why I'm running in and out of the studio.
Yes.
But earlier this month, if you remember, President Yoon Suk-yeol had his news press conference to mark the midpoint of his term.
Yes.
Where the president apologized for causing public concerns regarding his family affairs and whatnot. However, a reporter, actually locally from Busanilbo, pointed out that the president's apology was vague, that he didn't really apologize for any specific thing, because his specific exact wording was 어찌됐든 사과한다. I apologize in any case. So the reporter said that the public would be curious as to what he was apologizing for.
Yes.
And then to that, the president responded, if you point out what's wrong, then I will apologize for that fact. So the lawmakers brought this back up during the parliamentary hearing last week, at which point the presidential senior secretary for political affairs, 정무수석 홍철호, said that the question itself was quite rude to ask of a president. That because the president apologized, but the reporter, according to Hong, took this almost parental attitude, as if saying to a young child, going, well, what did you do wrong? To kind of scold. It seemed like he was scolding the president, and that should be corrected.
Oh, well, so that's what happened. And then that comment was not well received by the press.
It was not. So the Presidential Press Corps, they issued a statement saying that they firmly oppose to any comments that can weaken press activities seen as being intimidating the press.
Yes.
And demanded an apology from Hong.
Okay.
So yesterday morning, that apology came. He issued a statement through the presidential spokesperson's office where he apologized for the inappropriate comments to the journalists and also to the press.
I see. Well, that's what's going on there, right? Okay. And this week, though, switching gears, it's been a whirlwind for the war in Ukraine. Because as we, mark the 1,000th day of the outbreak of the war, we're going to kind of walk through what exactly happened. And of course, with North Korea and all of that, right?
Right. So it started with North Korea, and then so far in the latest with latest missile launch from Russia. So
Yes.
things have been happening at a breakneck speed. Let's go over what's been happening. So
Okay.
a bit of background prior to this week that kind of started everything was that North Korea dispatched deployed troops to Russia, and they've confirmed combat in the Kursk region. So let's start with Sunday. So about a week ago, about
Yes.
5 days ago, U.S. President Joe Biden, he allowed for Ukraine to use the ATACMS, or the Army Tactical Missile System, to strike within Russia.
Yes.
This is called ATACMS,
Yes.
very obvious acronym.
Right.
And then 2 days later, on Tuesday, Ukraine does indeed use the ATACMS missile to strike the Bryansk region in Russia. And then the following day, Biden gave another green light for Ukraine to use anti-personnel landmines, 대인지뢰, which she, by the way, banned for any usage outside the Korean Peninsula in the DMZ border area back in 2022. So a definite turnaround in U.S. policy regarding Ukraine. A lot of things happening before Donald Trump comes into office.
Yes.
The same day, Ukraine used British-supplied Storm Shadows missiles inside Russian territory for the first time, and then take that into Thursday local time. That was this yesterday for us. Russia striking parts of Ukraine with its intermediate range ballistic missiles.
Yes, yes. So you mentioned two kind of new major weapons in Ukraine's arsenal. So can we go through them a little bit?
Right. So why is that such a big deal?
Right.
Why has that triggered Russia into using its own missiles? So first is ATACMS. I know in Korean it's written down as ATACMS, but it's called ATACMS,
Like
and
an
it is
attack.
like attack them.
Right.
It's
Yes.
it's obviously it's not a subtle acronym.
No.
So this is a surface-to-surface ballistic missile, and it can hit targets up to 300 kilometers away. And long range is key in the Ukrainian war because, well, both countries have vast swaths of land. But then it's also difficult to intercept, and that's another key because they follow a ballistic, like a bullet-like path into the atmosphere. So it's launched way high in the atmosphere and then comes down back at a high speed and a high angle.
Okay.
ATACMS, they've been around for decades. The first use was in the Gulf War around in the 90s, in the early 90s.
Ah, okay. So we have a better idea of these ATACMS. What about the UK supplying the Storm Shadow missiles? What do we know about these missiles?
Right. So these are cruise missiles. So they fly closer to the ground, which is how they're significantly different from ATACMS, but also similar range at 250 kilometers long range.
Yes.
But they travel at the speed of sound. So they're hypersonic missiles. They hug the ground before dropping down and detonating its high explosive warhead.
Okay.
They're used to hit hardened and buried enemy targets, which then would include the buildup of Russian and North Korean troops and equipment, which are intended to take back the territory held by Ukraine in the Kursk region. By the way, the price tag on these, expensive
How
at
much?
$1 million per missile.
Per missile.
Per missile.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, we do want to report on the flip side with Russia hitting back, as you said, right?
Right, because Russia, as soon as the ATACMS missiles were greenlit, it said, we're basically going to get you back for this.
It's
and
on.
they did.
Yes.
So Russia hit a military facility in the Ukrainian central city of Dnipro with a new conventional intermediate range missile. It's code-named Orshnik, meaning hazel in Russian, by the way. Apparently, according to President Putin, it can travel at 10 times the speed of sound. And this was said in a surprise TV address where Putin said that this was in response to the use of American and British weapons by Ukraine. He also added that Russia has the right to use their own weapons against military facilities of the countries, not just Ukraine, but countries that allow their weapons to be used on Russian facilities. So this is not a veiled at all response to the US and the UK.
Yes.
But it is important to note it is not an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile, which is the only missile that can carry a nuclear warhead. And that's what Ukraine alleged earlier in the day.
Okay.
The White House did confirm that the US is aware, and it was made aware by Russia of them using this missile and accordingly notified the countries of interest.
Well, that's in a nutshell what's been happening. All right, so let's focus more on the North Korean troops that are deployed in Russia and the man who's leading them.
Right. So one of the commanders of the North Korean troops in Russia, he's drawing a lot of international attention because he's a mystery. So this is the Korean People's Army Deputy Chief of Staff Kim Young-bok. And according to the Wall Street Journal, North Korea has sent a mystery man to lead the military in its combat against Ukraine.
Okay.
So Kim is one of the top-ranked officials sent to Russia, one of three, known to be very close to the chairman, Kim Jong-un. He's also said to be acting as Kim Jong-un's proxy in Russia and now Ukraine with his full trust.
Okay.
But then what sets him apart, and you can see him on our YouTube page, the other elite officers are very much under public and media spotlight in North Korea. They kind of hold this like hero status, but not Kim Young-bok. To the point that we actually don't know anything about where he was born, how old he is, or any other personal details. But, excuse me, the outlet did quote North Korean military experts who said that Kim Young-bok seems to be at least in the top 10 key personnel, and how the North Korean troops perform in Ukraine and Russia would also determine his potential rise through the ranks.
I see. So thanks for the information on somebody whom we've never heard of before until now. Let's talk about this in some welcome news. A piece of stolen ancient art is coming back to South Korea. Is this the premise for our text topic?
Where we got our text topic. So the 조계사, the Joge Order of Buddhism, said that it's reached an agreement with the University of Chicago's Smart Museum of Art to retrieve the Buddhist painting 신중도. So 신중도 was a painting done by the monk Haejam back in 1767.
Okay.
It's a painting of patron gods in Buddhism, highly valued for its unique layout of the gods and its rare value. So it was kept at the Bomunsa Temple in Yecheon County in Gyeongbuk. But in June of 1989, this was stolen with two other pieces of the art by the monk. The two other pieces, they were returned to South Korea and returned to the temple. But for this painting, 신중도, it was actually the National Heritage Service that confirmed that this art piece was somehow, it made its way to the Smart Museum in Chicago while they do their regular survey of Korean art and heritage located in the U.S. And thus informed 조개 order. So smuggled out, sold in auction. So then the Buddhist order proactively reached out to the museum. They explained that the piece was looted and requested that it be returned. And to their credit, the museum agreed, especially because it is a religious painting, that it should be, is of higher value when it's returned to the religious location.
Yes.
That everything kind of works together to follow the ethics guidelines laid out by the International Council of Museums, and it will be returned to Korea. And we may be able to see this in person.
Such good news. And the fact that we were able to just get a glimpse of it. So beautiful.
Right.
And the fact that it's being returned. Oh, good news. To end it on for a Friday. Here's hoping, I don't know.
Maybe.
Wa글, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
You'll have to tune in to see what kind of stories she has in store for you. All right, this was Haley. Thank you. And for now, we're going to get to our first song. This is 좋다 by Daybreak.
사랑 노래가 너무 많았어 어떤 노래로 고백을 할까 처음 본 순간 Fall in love with you 미칠 것 같은데 널 사랑하는데 네가 있어 좋다 사랑해서 좋다 다른 말로 설명할 수 없는 이 기분 너무나도 좋다 너와 함께하는 이 순간 영원히 간직한 이 기분 멋진 말들로 꾸며 될수록 나의 마음을 가릴 것 같아 빼고 더 빼고 줄여갈수록 보석과도 같이 남아있는 이 한마디 좋다 사랑해서 좋다 다른 말로 설명할 수 없는 이 기분 너무나도 좋다 너와 함께하는 이 순간 영원히 간직한 이 기분 왠지 서툴러 보이는 작은 두 글자로 나의 마음을 전할게 네가 있어 좋다 사랑해서 좋다 다른 말로 설명할 수 없는 이 기분 너무나도 좋다 너와 함께하는 이 순간 영원히 간직한 이 기분 영원히 간직한 이 기분
Oh, I love that song. It always brings a smile to my face. I hope you're smiling on this Friday morning. Today, we're talking about the possible long-term ramifications of that kind of big gap. That I don't want to even call it a pause because, like, is it kind of like a one that you're pressing pause on, or is it kind of being done for you, right? Voluntary or involuntary? Basically, you getting your first job out of school, whether that be high school or college, university. And so, of course, we can't force a young person to get a job, especially if quality jobs are hard to come by. But looking at it through kind of the bigger lens, right? Looking at it long term. If this pre-employment pause continues for too long, what does it mean? It can also negatively affect these young people post-retirement. This is because you need to pay into the national pension for at least 10 years to be able to get something back, right? According to the Pension Corporation, there are over 150,000 27-year-olds who have applied for exemptions or 면제 from the fund because they have no income. But as you know, it's not really your fault if you can't find a job. You're trying. Experts are calling for a credit system where the pension recognizes and gives credit for the period during which one is going through things like vocational training or like a prep period, basically looking for a job. Currently, South Korea gives credit for military service, unemployment, and childbirth, and it may be time to start discussing, ways to expand this credit system so it applies to more people that are kind of really in between, like that school and first job, that phase of life. Well, for now, let's get to our text topic. Here it is. What work of art, building, or artifact would you like to see in person? Or maybe you've seen one and you were just like, wow. So what was it? 자, 실제로 실물로 보고 싶은 작품, 그리고 유적지 보물은 또 내가 봤을 때 좋아서 추천하고 싶은 유적지 미술품은 뭘까요? Actually, I got a message through our KakaoTalk channel from Liu Honghee Waver, who sent in this photo of what it is, it's called 백제금동 대향로. So if I had to describe it, I don't know if we're going to be able to put it up, but it's this very ornate kind of made out of precious metals. I'm thinking maybe copper. And it's, I believe they're saying they want to see it in person is what I'm going to decipher because they sent in the photo. But it is a national treasure. 국보예요, 이게. So if you have a chance to look it up, it's the 백제금동 대향로. It is very ornate and beautiful. And all the treasures that we have all around the world, for any country that have taken not just South Korea's treasures, but vice versa. Like, I just hope they're returned to whomever or, whatever the country they belong to, for all countries, not just Korean. And here it is. We have the image. That is the 백제금동 대향로. That's the photo that was sent in by one of our listeners. It is indeed. It has that awe factor, right, of being a national treasure. So thank you for sending that in. All right, we're going to get to Kat's pick for today. For today's Kat's Pick, I want to focus on what's happening in the States. So there's a lot of talk about this bomb cyclone. So what exactly is it? Let's find out from CBS News and the Today Show.
Well, let's talk about bomb cyclones, a term that you may hear a lot during the winter storm season. But what exactly are they? Well, a bomb cyclone is essentially just a rapidly intensifying storm, and here's how it works. When air rises in the atmosphere, it creates a vacuum effect like you see over the Pacific Northwest. It lowers the atmospheric pressure, and then it strengthens the storm. And this process accelerates the air that's rising faster and faster, causing that pressure within the storm to drop significantly. So if the barometric pressure falls by at least 24 millibars in just 24 hours, the storm undergoes what us meteorologists call bombogenesis, becoming a bomb cyclone. So the result, stronger winds, heavier rain and snow, more severe weather impacts, just like what we're beginning to see over the Pacific Northwest this week.
Overnight, hurricane-force winds packing powerful gusts up to 80 miles an hour, wreaking havoc across the northwest. The so-called bomb cyclone taking aim late Tuesday.
Oh my God.
Knocking out power to more than 500,000 people in Northern California, Washington, and Oregon.
This is my street. It's literally fully dark.
Fire and rescue teams in Washington responding to down power lines and trees. One woman killed when a large tree fell on a homeless encampment, and 2 people were taken to the hospital after a tree fell on their trailer. While in California, an atmospheric river, a large plume of moisture, drenched the coast, while turning to snow in the mountains.
It's going to bring some significant precipitation to portions of Northern California. We're talking rainfall totals 10 to 20 inches possible, with feet of snow, several feet of snow in the highest terrain. This is likely to result in significant flash flooding and landslides.
The storm system, one of the strongest to hit the West Coast in decades, is expected to last through Friday.
We got flashlights, batteries, water, canned goods. I'm all stocked up. Because who knows, right? These are small roads. Anything could happen.
And with the sustained rainfall, the rising snow totals, the worry from officials is twofold. It is the extreme possibility of mudslides and, of course, flooding.
Well, to wrap up our discussion on this bomb cyclone, they also call it a bombogenesis. It's the fast-developing storm that occurs when atmospheric pressure drops at least 24 millibars over a 24-hour period. Basically, it just means there's going to be a lot of extreme weather. So I do hope that, things go more smoothly for the people who are affected by this right now in the United States. And this was today's Cat's Pick. It is time for Foreign Press Highlights.
Good morning.
And Casey is like, I don't know, not undressing, but you were showing us your clothing. Your underwear.
Was that inappropriate? Was that unprofessional?
No. Well, you did hear the producer say, Casey.
I've heard that about 3 times today for various reasons. I'm not on my game today, I'll be honest.
How are you?
I guess I'm a little dizzy. I've been feeling, since the weather changed, I've not been sleeping well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I feel very congested and always dry. And
I don't feel well either. It's my throat. I've been
Me too.
Going to our next door coffee shop every day asking for, is it yujacha? The citron tea?
Good idea.
Every day I've been going and staying away from the coffee. But we got to dive into our not a text topic, our segment.
Whatever you want to do.
Our
you want
segment.
to do the text topic?
No. I want to know what you've brought for us.
I mean, I brought a few things, but I feel we're limited on time. So would you rather talk about new jeans or would you rather talk about love lives?
Love lives.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this comes from the France Press Agency, but it's been reported in a few different magazines or news outlets. One, France 24, one, CNA, Channel News Asia. So it's kind of been picked up by a lot of places. There was a poll released this week of 31 countries, and the organization that did it is Ipsos, which is headquartered in Paris, thus the France Press Association.
Yes.
The headline is what got me.
Okay, here we go.
Japanese Koreans' bottom of global love life survey.
Aw, I thought it was going to be happy,
We should have gone with new jeans, shouldn't we? But actually, that's not happy either.
Yeah.
That's not happy either.
There's no love there.
But okay, it's an interesting thing to look at, and the way they explain it in the article, they're trying to explain why these things might be the way they are. So basically, literally they put it this way in the subheadline: the 2 Asian rivals are grappling with a similar demographic crisis with their chronically and dangerously, as authorities warn, low birth rates. So, we always hear about it, as South Korea is making headlines for this.
Yes,
but it seems to be more slightly regional than just us here, right? So it was okay, is there something going on in this part of the world? So in June, Japan's health ministry described their birth rate as critical as well, but check out the difference.
Okay, what is it?
For them, it was 1.2 last year was their low.
We would be happy with 1.2.
That'd be almost double, it seems, right?
We're at Summit Web. 0.72?
Yes, that's exactly what it says in the article, which is the world's lowest rate. So it is interesting that they're kind of lumped together, but obviously quite a different number there. But Japan is kind of freaking out about it as well.
So
that was their record low for the 8th straight year.
But we're like doing much worse.
Yeah.
That's just, you know.
And the poll kind of shows like a weird like overlap of things that are worse and better, but they're always kind of like neck and neck.
Similar, okay.
Yeah, so for example, the overall poll showed that 37% of Japanese respondents to the poll derive satisfaction from, let's say, intimate relations and romance. So that's a very low number, 37% out of 100.
People get confused if you say intimate, just, you know, sex.
Sex? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Right.
It's okay?
Yes.
Okay. On a Friday morning? Okay, good.
It's okay.
Because, it's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Let's be free.
Yes.
So then they compare it to South Korea. They say that was second worst for sexual satisfaction at 45%. That's a fairly decent discrepancy, no? Number-wise.
That's like almost half.
Almost half.
That is sad.
Sad, yes, but better than a third, right? So... Would you care to guess which countries were ranked the most satisfied?
No, I don't want to take a guess because I don't want to
I would have never been able to guess
Yes,
anyway.
okay, so...
Who knows, right?
Which countries, who were the most satisfied?
All right, how about, what would you consider like a good number to be satisfied? Out of 100% of the population, what would you say is like a good high number?
Of sexual satisfaction?
Yeah, out of 100%, what do you think would be like considered the top?
I'm not going to even try to get to like 90. 90's like, like,
can you imagine?
60-ish.
I'm moving there tomorrow, whatever country that is.
You and your wife, right?
Yes.
60-ish. 60-ish? I don't know.
Okay. 76% was the top.
The satisfaction level?
Satisfaction level.
Which country?
India and Mexico.
Oh.
So
India
very
and
different parts of the world.
Very.
Like nearly, halfway around the world from each other.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the same poll.
Leslie, probably Scandinavia. They have a lot of darkness.
Nothing else to do. Is that the implication there?
Girlfriend, you're so funny too.
You got to make it through the winter somehow.
Somehow, yeah.
So according to this same poll, they also showed, here's where it gets sad for South Korea. South Koreans feel the least contentment from their relationships with their partners and spouses. Scored the lowest on that one. And then again, Japan was the second lowest. So there's a switch there. Here's where it gets interesting again.
Yes.
Asked how much people feel loved in life. So I guess loved in general is the implication
loved in
there.
life, okay.
Japan did the worst again, 51%.
박빙이네요. 왔다 갔다.
And then
한일전.
second worst.
Terrible.
Second worst.
Korea.
Again, but tied with Italy this time.
Okay.
But this time it was up to 63%. So, yeah.
How much they feel loved.
How much you feel loved. So at least over half.
Do you feel loved?
I don't know how to answer that question. Yes, I do.
Why did you pause?
I had to think about it. What does that even mean, right? Are we talking about, because we're jumping from kind of sex to general love? Yes, I do.
We love you. The waivers love you. They're clamoring for you. They're saying, Casey.
Thank you.
Yes.
So they do also...
We need a close-up. I think there's a tear in Casey's eye.
It's allergies, I guess. I don't know. Seasonal allergies.
Yes.
So they do try to kind of account for this as well, kind of. Only for Japan, though, which I thought was like, why? So according to Ipsos, they said the discontentment in Japan is partly the result of the personality of Japanese people who aren't good at articulating their emotions and attitudes when it comes to romance. And I was like, ouch. I felt like that was an ouch. But if they say that about Japan, and Japan and Korea are obviously kind of very closely related in this one particular survey.
Yes.
Is that implying something similar about Korea?
I don't know.
What's the lack of explanation there? Because they didn't give any explanation for South Korea's low score. So I was curious. It's like, does that imply the same thing is happening here?
I don't know.
Is it hard to articulate feelings about love and romance?
I don't know. My roommate is like we're kind of polar opposites. He likes expressing his feelings.
PDA, no problem?
Like too much so. Like it bothers
holding
me.
hands? Do you hold hands in public?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. Do you ever feel self-conscious about that?
Yeah, because like I've told my crew, like my staff, like off air, like sometimes I wish you would stop the PDA.
Oh, really?
It's kind of embarrassing because I feel like we're in Korea, like
So you do feel a little pressure.
A little bit because of where we are.
Right.
The holding hands, no, like peck on the cheek, but then like it's kind of like at the mart, we're going on the the little escalator ramp with the carts, and then he'll give me like a pat on the butt, like a. But this is in Korea. diarrhea in public, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, Casey, right?
No, yeah, I do feel a little pressure as well. Like,
Right. You
would
know
you
what
feel,
I'm saying,
Would you
right?
feel comfortable to kiss in public? Oh.
Like on the lips? On the lips? We have.
Yeah.
We have.
We have. That means no. Not
We
comfortable.
have, and then
We
people have given us dirty looks, though.
Have you? You've gotten that?
Yeah, but and then like I want to put on my forehead like we are married. It's not prudent. Like I want to say like
So this is interesting because hand holding is something that you'll see commonly in Korea for
Yes.
any variety of reasons.
Sure.
But when it does cross that obvious dimension into the
Right.
romantic relationship, suddenly hand holding feels awkward. It's interesting that way, right?
It is. Oh, we need more stories like this.
See? It's not all negative. We're having an honest discussion.
We are,
Right.
and we're out of time.
I know, I thought so.
But people saying, Casey's eyes look so green and so pretty. And people are yelling,
yeah.
Casey. And we love Casey. So we're going to have to call it a wrap. Oh,
it's so red here. This side.
Oh, PD님 뒤로 가주세요. No, because
I
we
look
don't
like
want to get the
Father
wrinkles. Like, come on. That was not doing you any favors, right? But we'll check in with you next week.
All right. You know what?
Oh, no. We have time to read more of your messages. We have from our listeners, besides the fact that everybody loves Casey, and Umberto making a very appropriate but inappropriate joke. India made a book about that,
Oh, nice. That's an old school. That's a throwback. That is a throwback joke. Well done.
But we can't say.
We can't say
we
what
can't
that.
say.
We can't say that. The name of that book?
The KS
Comma. COMMA.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We're adults, right?
Yes.
And
Sometimes.
then, people mentioning the purity culture in K-pop land. Yeah, I know, Leslie. You would think we're married and we have no issues, but people kind of look at us funny if there's. And at a restaurant, my husband he has a. One last thing about my roommate that almost
This is so good. I'm
almost
enjoying this.
killed me with a toothbrush. I know, but he likes feeding me
At a restaurant?
Like the first bite, he likes feeding me just to say, you always come first in my life. So
Maybe like a lettuce wrap situation?
anything.
With a spoon?
With a spoon, anything, chopsticks, anything.
Oh,
it's a
that's,
thing.
that's hot.
Our kids know, they're not allowed to eat until mom gets fed the first bite.
Really?
But in a restaurant, it feels uncomfortable. I'm
I would feel uncomfortable with that,
let's
yeah.
not do that. And then he's like, no, honey. It's okay. You always come first. So he does that. And then I see the daggers that are being aimed at my way.
You can feel it?
I can feel it.
But
we
you
have
go
to say
through
goodbye.
with it.
Yes.
Man, I wish we had an hour more for this.
1시간 더 합시다. Just with this.
I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. But we'll check in with you next week. Bye. Okay, we'll be back for hour number 2.
Your bridge to the world. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
새로운 다운이. 건조기를 사용하면 섬유유연제 향기가 사라진다고요? 깜짝 놀라실 거예요. 다운이는 건조기를 사용한 후에도 향이 오래오래. 그래서 입는 순간까지. 다운이 7일간 피어나는 향수. 다운이. 부산의 축제, 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의
보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
We are
the firefighter duo.
Winter is so dry. Let's prevent fire by keeping these 3 rules. If you take caution, you can prevent a fire.
The number one cause of fire in winter are electric blankets. Take special caution with highly flammable materials such as memory foam, toppers, and bedding.
Number 2, having too many appliances on the power outlet is dangerous. Always unplug all the appliances that you're not currently using.
Number 3, check the heater is off before leaving the house. Leaving it on for an extended period of time can cause a fire.
Let's all take part in preventing fire and have warm and safe winter this year.
Tune in to BEFM 부산영어방송 for an emergency broadcast.
This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded.
What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan. I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock. It's time for news highlights. South Korea confirms North stole 56 billion won in cryptocurrency. The National Office of Investigation of the National Police Agency confirmed yesterday that North Korean hackers were behind the theft of 58 billion won worth of Ethereum in 2019. The North state-sponsored hacking groups Lazarus and Andareal were involved in the theft of 342,000 Ethereum tokens from the cryptocurrency exchange Upbit, confirmed through IP addresses and crypto flows, said officials. This marks the first time a South Korean investigative agency has confirmed North Korea's involvement in cryptocurrency hacking crimes, though similar charges have been raised by the United Nations and other countries. Lee Jae-myung appeals suspended sentence for election law violation. Main opposition Democratic Party or DP leader Lee Jae-myung has appealed his suspended prison sentence for violating election law to the Seoul Central District Court yesterday. Last Friday, the Seoul court sentenced the DP leader to a 1-year prison sentence, suspended for 2 years, after finding him guilty of spreading false information in violation of election regulations. Any final prison term or a fine of 1 million won or more would strip him of his parliamentary seat and his right to run in any election for the next 5 years. Unionized rail workers threaten strike starting December 5th. The Korean Railway Workers Union, KRWU, announced yesterday they will launch an indefinite general strike on December 5th to demand higher pay and a bigger workforce. The walkout if implemented, is expected to affect the operations of the high-speed KTX and regular train services across the country and subway services in the capital area. The union said that it would go on an indefinite full-scale walkout if the government and their employer, Korail, show no change in the attitudes in discussions. The union has been staging a slowdown strike since Monday. Putin says Russia used intermediate-range ballistic missile against Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has confirmed that Russia fired a hypersonic medium-range ballistic missile at a Ukrainian military site following Ukraine's claims that Russia had used an intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM, against them. In an unannounced televised address on Thursday local time, Putin warned the West that Russia was ready for any developments, adding that the missile strike was in response to Ukraine's use of American and British weapons. The White House said that Russia is to blame for escalating at every turn in its war in Ukraine. ICC issues arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. Judges at the International Criminal Court, or ICC, have issued arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Foreign Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and Hamas's military commander Mohammed Deif. The judges said there are reasonable grounds the three men bore criminal responsibility for alleged war crimes and crimes against humanity during the war between Israel and Hamas. Both Israel and Hamas have rejected the allegations. It will now be up to the ICC's 124 member states, which do not include Israel or the United States, to decide whether to enforce the warrants. And this was News Highlights. It's now time for waglwa글. And I want to address what Benny said. Benny said...
What did he say?
He said, Kat laughed hard during the break when reading the chat. How did you know? The camera was like...
He heard you all the way in the Philippines.
In the Philippines?
Yeah.
This was the first time...
I heard you outside. We have soundproof doors.
This was the first time I struggled. Like right before news... There's a phrase I say to myself and my producer, we say it together when we need to get serious real quick. That phrase is, do you know what it is?
Can you say that? That seems highly inappropriate.
Dead puppies.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that will get me sad and serious in like less than a second.
Oh my God.
But Betty, you're right. You guys just, today.
I almost wanted to make a fake account so I could say everything I wanted to say,
but not as Haley or
but not as Haley or like 서작가 or whomever. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, but I couldn't.
Okay, so
because I don't know how.
We just need just 2 hours to talk about life.
We do. And
yes.
Casey was like, "Should that just be my segment every?" I'm like, "Yes."
Dr. Love.
Yeah.
Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, hey, we gotta.
I love it.
Oh.
And then, later today she's going to be like, no. Okay, but first story. A teenager has sustained a fractured jaw after a U.S. soldier allegedly beat him. So we need the lowdown on this.
Yeah, so this is a terrible case.
Yes.
Pyeongtaek police, they've booked a U.S. Sergeant First Class for assault earlier this week for allegedly punching a teen so hard in the face that his jaw is fractured. So the officer, this soldier, the American, claims the teen also allegedly assaulted him. Mm-hmm. So the police have booked the teenager as well, but he can't give a statement right now because his jaw is literally wired shut at this point. So according to witnesses in the CCTV footage, the American officer was having a very loud argument with a Korean woman, and this was just out on the street prior to the incident, to the point where people were apparently staring. However, according to witnesses, he just caught the eye of this teenager who was walking by, presumably also looking at I don't want to call them a couple, but looking at the two people. And then they got into an argument, allegedly about why are you staring and etc.
Okay.
So the CCTV footage shows the woman pushing the teenager and then the American officer punching the teen.
Oh.
The footage does not show, on the contrary to what the officer says the teen hitting or otherwise assaulting these two other people. By the way, this officer is 190 centimeters tall and weighs about 100 kilograms. So he's a big guy.
Big man.
Mm-hmm. So the teen's father says even the plastic surgeon that they took him to said that he's never seen a case of where a jaw gets broken with just a punch. That this is astounding. The teen said to have he has to have metal braces in his mouth for 8 weeks to basically hold his jaw in place.
And if you're watching on our NoTube channel,
that's a very clear break
is
or
a fracture.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never seen one like the gap being so gaping.
Right. I mean, that's just...
I
mean, whatever happened, we hope he makes a full recovery,
Of course,
and then, justice is brought to whomever it needs to be brought on to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost everyone has their glue's eye to their phone while waiting at a crosswalk. We've all seen it, and maybe sometimes we're guilty of it. And these ground-embedded traffic lights are a godsend until... Well, they're not. They don't work.
Have you ever missed a traffic light? I mean, like as a pedestrian, not as a driver?
Oh, not I.
Okay.
I don't look at my phone.
Really?
I really try not to.
You're a better person than I am.
I make it a point, even from our station, like, okay, once I exit the building, I put my phone in my pocket.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you the truth then about me.
No,
I've never missed a light, but I almost have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I ran. Well, it was green. And I was like, this is why I run, so I can cover up my stupidity.
Did you fall?
I not
this
there,
time?
not this time,
there?
not that time. I mean, I fell elsewhere.
Okay.
Elsewhere's many times, but
not there.
Knee still hurts, but yeah. Anyway, so these four people like myself and maybe others, the ground embedded pedestrian lights they're great. They're so great. And a lot of local governments are installing them because, I mean, it's not just me. So these lights, they came into being back in 2018, greatest thing since sliced bread, and a high number, because back in 2018 with smartphones and whatnot, a high number of accidents, they did happen with people looking at their phones. And
That's
I believe
right.
that's when we had the word smartphone zombies.
Yes.
So they even installed across school zones and other busy intersections. But with that, there are also increasing reports of them not working or working the opposite way of they're supposed to.
Oh, that's like worse.
Which is worse.
Yes.
At the parliamentary audit last week, there was a photo that we just had up on our YouTube of this light on the ground being green, but the actual pedestrian light was red.
Yeah, the exact opposite.
Vice versa. Well, this is extremely dangerous, especially that case, because I mean, if your eyes are so glued to your phone that your eyes are on the ground, then you're probably not going to look up when that ground light turns green, and you're just going to step onto the crosswalk. But the other cars have no idea why that pedestrian just walked out onto the road when their light, the vehicle light, is green. So this could turn disastrous.
It could, and so. Big question. Who's in charge of the maintenance on this?
So here's the thing. Respective city and county governments, local governments, they do on the installation part, the budget comes from the provincial government and metropolitan city government, so larger governments. For example, Seoul City and Gyeonggi Province collectively spent over 100 billion won alone on installing the lights. That's this year alone. However, maintenance falls down to the smaller local governments. And, local governments are not well known for swimming in staff or money.
That's true.
But it is a safety issue, and safety always takes precedence.
Absolutely.
Also, I do realize that we humans in general, people can, look up.
Look up from your phone.
I get that.
Yes,
I
but
get
still.
that. But still.
If the lights are there, they should work properly.
Right.
Is what we're saying. All right. Well, this one. Oh, when I saw the top, it got under my skin. A lot of food products are sold by weight, right? And I still sometimes have a hard time, like, the pound, the grams, the kilograms, and all that. But have you ever thought to weigh the food?
Have you?
I just assumed if it says 5 kilograms or 2 kilograms or. Oh, that one time I bought a kilogram of basil leaves on the internet.
A kilo of basil leaves?
I apparently have no idea of how much.
Lady, are you?
It was like, I can't even.
Yeah.
It was like this big. I opened the box and it like sprung it to life. And I had basil leaves like coming out of.
I should have gone over with my basket. Wow.
Next time I misorder.
Cool.
Yes. So maybe we should be weighing.
Maybe you should
Yes.
because, well, okay, for example, it is tangerine season.
Yes.
You order a 5 kilogram of tangerines. I expect 5 kilograms of tangerines. But someone on an online forum said, this is what they did. 5 kilogram box from a farm in Jeju. And then this is also surprising. They weighed it.
But they must have been really suspicious. Like something must have been off.
But because the box seemed a bit emptier, there was a lot of space in the box.
Okay.
So they weighed it and it came to 4.5 kilograms.
But
yeah.
Still?
Yeah. I know it's just 500 grams.
That would bother me.
But let's remove the just because I paid for 5 kilos. So they asked the company. And this is what really got a lot of people. Here's their response.
Okay, what's the reason?
Safety.
Safety of what?
Safety of what? Exactly. So the response that they wrote, which the tone was also very interesting. So they said, so we understand that the customer may have been disappointed after expecting 5 kilograms of tangerines.
Because that's what they paid for.
Right. So the company said that if they completely fill that 5 kilogram box, there's a chance that the tangerines would be squished together and they can burst, they can go bad. So in accordance with the logistics companies, the 택배 회사's recommendation, they don't fill the box all the way because they need to put in some shock absorbers. And in the process, they're only able to put in 4.5 kilograms. But, direct quote, direct translated, this was a decision to prioritize safety and freshness. 고객님께 더 신선하고 안전하게 보내드리기 위한 저희의 결정입니다. Kat.
Question.
You may speak.
Okay. My question is this. First, okay, then why don't you charge me for 4.5 kilograms or bigger box?
That is exactly what the netizens said.
Okay. So I'm not
Common
crazy.
sense would dictate you get a 5.5 kilogram box and give me the 5 kilograms
that
tangerines
I
paid for.
Yes.
Yeah, so after this whole controversy, the company revised the weight on their website.
Oh,
I don't
did?
know if they revised the price though, so because I haven't been able to actually see it in person.
Right.
But yeah, I know.
Is that what we have to do? I know I do have a food scale, but now I got to get
but the food scales for under
grams.
kilos. So,
Yeah,
so just,
like 100
I guess,
grams,
you know,
200
how
grams.
you weigh like baby bunnies, like hold the box and get on the scale and subtract your weight. I don't want to live in that world. I really would like to, assume
But now
that
this is in our head, Haley. Thank you.
I know, you're welcome.
Now we're going to be suspicious of every box.
Don't trust pedestrian lights. Don't trust weight.
Don't trust boxes. Don't trust anything.
No, nothing.
We got to end it on a positive one.
We do.
Okay, so we have a good story. A baker who complied with a customer's request for an off-menu item. How
So
off-menu?
As a former waitress, if you order extremely off-menu, I'm like, unless you have allergies, why? But here's a
Yes.
good story. And
Okay.
this person had a good reason. So this is kind of a freshman, like a rookie baker / bakery owner, wrote that they recently opened up their a store 3 months ago. You can imagine very busy. But he or she, they noticed an elderly man walking past the bakery almost every single morning.
Okay.
But he never came in. But he still kind of lingered by the door and looked inside, kind of
like
trying to see if what's in there.
Yeah.
Looking for something. But just even though they were really busy, the owner said something about that man just really caught their eye. Finally, about 10 days later, he walks in. And then he says, I have a favor to ask. And she was like, oh my God, what's he going to sell me? Because also the world that we live in is what it is. But then, my God, what he said, his wife is sick. She can't or doesn't eat. She doesn't have an appetite. I believe she had cancer. But what she really loves is those chestnut loaves or chestnut pastries, 밤식빵. And he was wondering, so he kind of was peeping in to see if they sold it. They didn't.
Like every day he was passing by,
He was
today are they going to bake it? 오늘?
Exactly. So he asked after 10 days, could you possibly make me some and sell it? So once again, month 3 of owning this bakery. So the owner said they actually didn't know how, but promised, I can learn. I will learn. So come back in a few days. And they got to practicing. By the way, it's not like, everyone's busy, but it's not like bakeries are swimming in spare time. Because
Right.
bakeries open so early, and that means presumably they come into the kitchen way, way earlier.
Is that a photo?
Yeah, it's a photo. So they got to baking, and the person made it. The man came back 2 days later. The owner wanted to give it to him for free, but he insisted on paying. And then, all right, get your tissues out.
Okay.
A week later, he comes back and says that his wife really enjoyed the pastry, and she was able to go happily. That
my
meant
gosh,
she
that
passed away. Right.
I don't want to cry on her. That's
I mean,
sad.
so the owner said, this is gonna be their chosim, this heart to go back, the story to go back to remember for a long time. Also reminded them of their mother who also passed away from cancer.
Oh, that's so sad.
So,
I thought you said this was a happy story.
Well, I mean, it's a loving story about restoring faith in humanity. Because some people will cheat you out of 500 grams of tangerines, but others will go out of their way to, make sure that an older couple can, well, I don't want to call it a happy ending, but, can at least get what they wanted before she passed away.
Sad. That was too sad. Well, thank you, kind of, for the walk stories.
I guess you're welcome.
I'm exhausted.
Right.
But I have a request from William who says, can you change your Get Serious prep line to Broken Jaw instead? Because I mentioned the whole dead puppies. So I'm trying to
I heard
lighten
Broken
the mood.
John. I'm going to go.
Broken Jaw.
You
You're
need to
so
enunciate.
on-
You
okay.
need to enunciate.
Broken Jaw.
Yes, thank you. Not my fault.
And on that note, we'll check in with you on Monday.
Bye.
That was Haley, everybody. And here's your updated traffic and weather. It is now time for your updated traffic report. There is an accident on Chungjangdaero from pier number 3 to pier number 5. Right by pier number 4, there was an accident between a bus and a car. It has been cleared up, but it is still causing a lot of backup. And also, there is an accident right past the Bexco tollgate right off of Gwangan Bridge heading toward the Singdang three-way intersection. It's also looking slow on Gwanmundaero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel. And lastly, congestion on Mandakdaero from Mandak Tunnel number 2 to the Mandak intersection. Today, once again, is Sosal, one of the solar cycles, and we usually associate this with the first snow of the winter season. I wish we had snow in Busan, but no, not in Busan. It's kind of cold though. Currently 7, it's going to go up to 15. Parts of Gyeonggi and Gangwon will see snow and frost though. For the weekend, pretty similar tomorrow and Sunday, an expected low of 6 and a high of 15. And this was your traffic and weather. And here is One Way Ticket by Eruption.
Choo-choo train, chucking down the track. Gotta travel on
Welcome back, everybody. One last time addressing the text topic today. What was it even? Because the chatter today was just amazing. But we were talking about what type of art, building, or artifact that you would like to see in person, or maybe that you've seen. So scrolling back up to see what you guys said, because in the beginning I saw a slew of really good answers. So first of all, where did I know William? William said, Pam and I visited the Mouth of Truth, aka Bocca della Verità, in central Rome. And this was featured in the film Roman Holiday. Oh, I love that film. So we placed our hands in the same spot as Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn. That's so romantic. So thank you for sharing that with our listeners. And for now, though, I do want to get to our special interview because, with the change of, the temperatures, the drastic drop in temperatures, there are so many people that are sick these days. So let's get to our special interview. As the temperatures have dropped and fall has transitioned into winter, respiratory infections are on the rise, posing significant health risks to people in vulnerable demographics, and seasonal illnesses like the flu, COVID-19, pneumonia, whooping cough are spreading, and often, overlapping symptoms, really difficult to kind of distinguish, especially for us non-doctors. And experts warn that, people in these high-risk groups, including children, the elderly, and individuals with chronic conditions, must remain vigilant against these threats. So let's find out more about what's happening right now. We have invited back to the airwaves Dr. Alice Dunn, internist at Seoul MizMedi Hospital. Hi, Dr. Dunn.
Good morning.
Yes, welcome back. So, why are fall and winter considered high-risk seasons for respiratory illnesses? And I have to say, it does seem like right now there are, maybe anecdotally, but, people around us who seem just a lot of sick people right now, it seems.
Mm-hmm. So traditionally, cold and flu season starts now, so in the fall, and runs through winter and early spring. In the Northern Hemisphere, that correlates to November through March or April. When we try to understand the forces that determine why and how an infectious disease spreads, we need to consider three categories of factors. Okay. So the host factors, environment factors, and the pathogen. So that's usually a virus or bacteria. Our immune system does not innately change with the seasons, but the cold and dry weather can dry out the inner lining of our nose and throat, which can make it easier for viruses to enter our body and can help them stay afloat and travel in the air for longer. Also, when the weather is cold, snowy, or windy outside, of course, we tend to stay indoors and close the windows, making indoor spaces more crowded, less ventilated, and thus easier for viruses and bacteria to pass from person to person. When there are many people who lack immunity to a pathogen, then the virus or bacteria can spread easily, forming clusters and chains of transmission. And that would happen if people have skipped their routine vaccinations.
Thanks for explaining, though, the logic behind this and the science behind why now is the time to be extra vigilant. So in terms of the critical signs that differentiate the common cold versus more serious respiratory illnesses, what should we be on the lookout for?
I would say that there are two main differentiating points that would make cold-like symptoms more likely due to a common cold. The first would be the absence of whole body, or what we call constitutional symptoms, such as fever, muscle aches, and nausea, vomiting, or diarrhea. The second would be the timeline. A simple cold rarely lasts for more than 1 week. If the sneezing, coughing, nasal discharge, or sore throat have dragged on for more than 7 days, then there's probably something more going on than just a simple cold.
So that's definitely good to know. So we can, act accordingly or visit the doctor when we need to. The data here in Korea shows that whooping cough or pertussis cases have risen sharply this year. So first of all, why and which demographic group are we talking about?
Yes, so we have seen a very dramatic increase in whooping cough, as you said, also known as pertussis in Korea during 2024. So for the week ending on November 9th, 2024, there were a total of 1,160 cases of whooping cough diagnosed for a yearly total so far of more than 31,000 cases. Now, for reference, the total number of whooping cough cases during the entire year of 2023, last year, was 292 cases. So there has been more than a 100-fold increase in pertussis cases so far this year compared to last year. The peak number of cases during 2024 occurred in July of this year, when more than 10,000 cases were recorded. And the overwhelming majority of cases have occurred in school-aged children, aged between 7 and 19 years old. By geographical location, the most number of cases overall occurred in the Gyeonggi province, but the most recent data show that Daegu, Chungnam, Seoul, and Busan are the current hotspots for pertussis cases.
Oh, really? And so is there a reason why that there's been such a sharp increase if we look at just the numbers from last year compared to this year, Dr. Tan?
There has been an increase in pertussis cases, not just in South Korea, but around the world. It was noted that one of the cases from the last epidemiological week that we have data for was an imported case, for example, from the UK. And so just globally, there's a lot of pertussis. But then also we've noticed that there's been a drop-off in children getting their booster shots for pertussis, especially so there's a series of shots that children get as infants, and then later on, when they're 4 to 6 years old, and then 11 to 12 years old, more children have skipped that last dose, the 6th dose that they're supposed to receive. And so, as I mentioned, if people are vulnerable to infection because they don't have immunity because they skipped their vaccination, that can lead to outbreaks.
I see. Well, the recent reports mentioned that there was the first case of an infant, unfortunately, that died from pertussis here in South Korea since, I guess, record keeping began. And so, of course, that makes the headlines, splashy news like that. But as unfortunate as that case is, I'm sure parents and caregivers, they want to know, how can we minimize the exposure, the risks to newborns from this?
So the death of any infant is tragic, but when it occurs due to a potentially preventable disease, it's that much more heartbreaking. Right. Whooping cough can be prevented with a DTaP vaccination, which should be administered when the infant is 2, 4, and 6 months old. Then again, between 15 to 18 months old, between 4 to 6 years old, and then the 6th dose between 11 to 12 years old. What this means, of course, is that infants younger than 1 year old who haven't finished the primary series of vaccination are especially at high risk of catching whooping cough. And indeed, 70% of all fatalities due to whooping cough occur in infants less than 6 months old. So pregnant women can protect their baby by receiving a Tdap vaccine before giving birth during the 3rd trimester, because vaccination during pregnancy has been shown to prevent nearly 80% of pertussis cases younger than 2 months of age. Given the severity of the surge in whooping cough in South Korea and around the world this season, parents of infants should be particularly careful about taking newborns to crowded public spaces, I think, this time. Unfortunately, the recent fatality occurred on November 4th in a baby who was less than 2 months old.
Oh, goodness. As you say, any, death is tragic, but the fact that, such a young one. But what about for adults who are maybe not sure if they were fully vaccinated? As you say, there are, 6 injections that you need to get. So if you're not sure, then how would you go about checking to see if you are up to date on your immunization?
Right. So since immunity wanes, a Tdap booster is recommended every 10 years for adults, starting at 21 to 22 years old. And so what I tell my patients is, if you don't remember and you don't have a record, then just get a booster. Get a booster. You don't have, when in doubt, just get your shot. Additionally, as I mentioned, every woman should receive a Tdap booster during each pregnancy between weeks 27 and 36 weeks. So that's the third trimester.
Yes.
Building a wall of protection around babies by making sure that all the family members are up to date on their influenza and tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis vaccines is one of the best ways to keep our smallest members of society safe.
Indeed, indeed. And as we wrap up our discussion today, Dr. Tan, it was unusually warm and then suddenly it got really, really cold. There was kind of no in between. And do you have any tips on how to kind of transition into winter, staying healthy during this kind of in between transitional weather into the long winter season ahead?
Well, I just mentioned the flu shot,
yes.
And we are starting to see a slight uptick in influenza cases in Korea. So now would be a good time for children and at-risk adults to receive their annual influenza vaccination. Furthermore, respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is one of the most common causes of severe lower respiratory tract infections, such as pneumonia and bronchiolitis in young children. And a vaccine against RSV was recently approved in Korea in May of this year. So that's something to consider. Other than staying up to date on routine vaccinations, washing your hands frequently, ventilating indoor spaces, staying away from sick individuals, keeping the humidity level between 30 to 50% indoors, and wearing a mask during infection surges, especially in crowded places, are all measures that can help you keep healthy this upcoming respiratory illness season.
Thank you so much for all the great information and tips. Take care, Dr. Dawn. Thank you.
Thank you.
This was Dr. Alice Tan, as usual, breaking it down for us, being aware of all the respiratory illnesses and infections that could come our way this season. And it's going to be a long winter season, right? So I don't know about you, but I don't remember when I was last boosted for the Tdap. So I think I'm going to have to go in and hopefully get my flu shot as well. So I hope you keep on top of your health as well. Let's take a song break. Here is Nothing's Gonna Change. And this is by Nothing's Gonna Change My Love for You by George Benson. And I'll be back in just a moment.
If I had to live my life without you near me, the days would all be empty. The nights would seem so long. With you I see forever oh so clearly. I might have been in love before, but it never felt this strong. Our dreams are young and we both know they'll take us where we want to go. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change not so easy. Our love will lead the way for us, like a guiding star. I'll be there for you if you should need me. You don't have to change a thing. I love you just the way you are. So come with me and share the view. I'll help you see forever too. Hold me now, touch me now. I don't want to live without you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. One thing you can be sure of, I'll never ask for more than your love. Nothing's gonna change my love for you. You ought to know by now how much I love you. The world may change my whole life through, but nothing's gonna change my love for you. Nothing's gonna change my love for you.
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
Hey, it's time for What in the World. So what in the world, Vasana? We need to do it again. You're giving us a heart on a Friday.
I saw some.
하트 보내주신대요.
I saw some famous people trying to do a heart, and the old guy pinched his cheek. all the young people were going like that,
And then he literally pinched his
and he
cheek.
literally pinched his cheek because he thought that's what they were doing. So seeing him an old guy, I thought.
I have a funny story of an actual. We had some in studio guests.
Yes.
And they were trying to do the hearts.
Oh no! Yeah.
But I can't do the gesture.
I can guess what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, they did that because they didn't know how to quite do the hearts, and then we're like, no, not that.
Yeah.
But that, yeah.
I tried to teach my students the good luck one, and they end up doing something else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're always fun. What's the text topic this morning?
Today it's about any like amazing sites or like, let's say, what was it like statues or artwork that you want to see, before you die, or maybe you've been to one, like an amazing building, or you've seen this artifact in person. You were just like, wow, that is amazing. So
I'm laughing because my wife could answer this question perfectly.
Yes.
She's into that.
She's into that.
We went to England for our honeymoon. Honeymoon.
Uh-huh.
Nobody goes anywhere for anniversaries.
Yes.
For our honeymoon, and in England, all those places are free to enter. Museums and art places. So I don't like those places.
You don't like those places? You don't like the history and the regalia and all that?
I just don't. Yeah, maybe. I'm sorry, honey.
Vasana. 사모님 싫대요. Okay.
Maybe the Eiffel Tower.
재미없대요. He's not into the museum thing. It's okay. You know, different strokes for different folks. Yes.
But music, however, yes.
Okay.
Anywhere, yeah.
What do you have for us for what in the world?
Bananas.
Bananas, like literally?
Actually, ironically, it is.
Yes.
It is an exhibition.
It is?
Remember that South Korean art student who ate that banana?
Yeah.
A few months ago.
Yeah.
The Italian artist was Maurizio Catalan. So they had a backup banana, as bananas are not as pretty plentiful in this world.
Sure.
So anyway, it was sold at Sotheby's yesterday, the famous
auction house, right?
Auction house. It was estimated to be sold for more than $1 million. Let's see if our listeners can type in quickly how much do you think it would have sold for? A banana taped with duct tape.
Right.
To
we live in a crazy
board.
world. I don't know. Like $1 million.
$1 million.
I don't know. And that's like really like
pushing it.
Highballing it.
Okay. 6.2
million. One?
Dollars.
Yeah.
It was sold for $6.2 million yesterday.
I want to stick a banana to a canvas with duct tape and earn $6.2 million.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But on the other hand, there is a little bit of sense in the art world because a year earlier, there was another artist who was commissioned to do an artwork. And all he did was hand in a blank piece of paper with the border on it. And they said, what's this called? And he gave them some stupid name and they wouldn't pay him.
I have a similar story.
Yeah.
I went to a performance. It was supposed it was a junior high, middle school.
Yeah.
And so our music teacher, Mr. Hatanaga, took the entire music class to see this performance.
Yeah.
And one of the musicians came up on stage.
Yeah.
Did nothing. That was his performance.
As in just sat there or
he sat. So we thought, we're like, are they going to bring out the cello? Are they going to bring out the music stand? Like we were just waiting there.
Did he have an instrument or?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just sat there?
He just sat there. So everybody was just like, and we're like, kids were like, what's going on? And then Mr. H was like, shh. He was shushing us like, shh, it's art. And I was like, that is not art. To me, I was like, that's not art.
Okay, I'm going to have to disagree with you there.
Saying I was in middle school. I wasn't 중학교 때요. 그냥.
I knew that. I knew that song.
Like,
it's a famous piece. It's yeah.
But I was in middle school.
Okay, but you know what it is now.
Yes,
yeah.
I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it can be performed. That piece of music, can be performed by anybody. So some people bring stupid instruments up and then just sit there for 4 minutes 33, which is the name of the piece. I think it is. Somebody can contradict me there. Just sit there for 4 minutes. But yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, let's go back to bananas.
Yes, bananas.
Or rather, change it up from making money by selling bananas.
Okay.
To trying to make money by dressing up as a bear. Have you heard about this one?
Yeah, Is this someone? Yeah, but tell us anyway. There might be listeners who might have missed the story.
Oh, have you done this story too?
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh, it's okay. Overlap
Let's
is
go on
fine.
to the next news. Then.
Okay, next news. Okay. Next.
No, the bear one I thought was funny because
Yes.
the bear costume was pretty realistic.
It was
Very realistic.
I thought it was realistic.
And if he didn't move,
Yes.
it would have actually looked like a bear. But when bears move, they move differently from humans.
Oh, yes.
And so on the video, you can see that the costume goes in and you can see the outline of the human body there.
In the luxury car, right?
In the luxury car.
It was kind of like an insurance scam.
Yes,
It didn't quite
basically
work
an
out, right?
insurance scam.
Yes. All right, what's our next one?
Okay, ridiculous news. From ridiculous websites to ridiculous news to ridiculous websites.
Yes.
Do you remember InfoWars?
InfoWars. What's his name? Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Is that his name? Yeah.
Well, he's apparently bankrupt now.
Yes.
But his website was sold to one of my favorite websites.
Which one?
The Onion.
Oh, really?
Have you
The
done
Onion?
Have you done this story?
No. But I'm surprised that The Onion.
I will be in tears from The Onion.
No. The
So that
Onion
was my
bought
pun.
InfoWars?
The Onion bought InfoWars. Yeah. So what they're going to do is try and change the conspiracy website into a similar website, but using conspiracy theories as the background or the topic of that website. So still making conspiracies.
Yes.
But onion conspiracies.
Onion. Okay, but you got to explain what the Onion is, because a lot of our listeners, they have no idea what we're talking about.
Okay, the Onion is a satirical website. So they put up fake news. I mean, really fake news. And so fake, I mean, since the next president and the previous president was in power, there have been a lot of news that was so ridiculous, we thought it was fake. But it was actually real.
Right.
And before that president came in, everybody knew it was fake news. But sometimes when they put news items on, people think it is real and they actually read it in Congress, citing the Onion as their source.
I mean, that's the worst, though. When you have politicians citing, a source like the Onion, not knowing that it's not real. And it's like, that's what they're known for putting up fake stories. That's all they do. It's not like they mix them with real and...
No, that's not mixed. It's totally made up.
Right.
So Ben Collins, the CEO, he says, our goal in a couple of years is for people to think of InfoWars as the funniest and dumbest website that exists.
Funniest and dumbest. That should be interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so previously they said it was the dumbest, but they want to make it the funniest. So
and
probably
dumbest.
more than funniest and dumbest.
Okay. We're on a roll. Next.
We are on a roll. Okay, the next one involves buying a house.
House?
How much do you think it would cost to buy a house in an idyllic Italian countryside village?
Oh, I don't know, but that sounds so nice.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be
Italy.
too much because it's in Italy in the countryside.
Right, rural area.
Yeah. How about $1?
$1?
$1.
Why and how?
Okay, a couple of reasons. Number one, the plummeting birth rate. So the birth rate plummeting is not only affecting South Korea, it's affecting every country in the world. So following the November 5th vote outcome, they launched a website aimed at would-be American expats, saying, please come to Italy. And buy a home for $1. So these homes are what you call homes that need to be done up.
A fixer-upper.
Fixer-upper, sorry.
Yes.
Not done up. In New Zealand, we say done up.
Done up? Really? That's what you say in New Zealand?
It needs to be fixed.
Yes, okay.
Fixer-upper.
Okay,
Let's use that one. That one sounds better than mine. So the ad said, are you worn out by global politics? Looking to embrace a more balanced lifestyle while securing new opportunities? It's time to start building your European escape in the stunning paradise of Sardinia. I actually know the place. It's a very
Sardinia.
beautiful place.
I was going to say, that's like not some like completely unknown.
No, it's not unknown.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful place. So for $1 American dollar, $1 you can buy it. It'll probably cost anywhere between 20 to 100 to fix up.
Fix it up, right?
Fix it up.
To make it livable.
But still, $100,000 for a house in Sardinia.
I mean,
wow.
Yeah. If I didn't have morning wave commitments, I might consider it. Right. I have to learn Italian.
But they said we'll not just focus on, it's not just for Americans, but they're focusing on Americans because of what just recently happened over there. Because a lot of people said, I'm going to move out. You know what they say.
That's what they say. But,
okay.
So, actually, we have time for really one short one.
One
really short one.
Okay, one really short one. If you could, I think this was a text topic before.
Yes.
If you could eat one food every day.
Every day?
For the rest of your life.
Oh, what would it be?
What would it be?
Why are we asking that question?
We're asking that question because one guy in Japan, he has eaten ramen or ramen.
For how long?
For the last 50 years, every day.
Every day.
For the last 50 years. So from the time he left home and lived by himself to now. So
by choice.
He's about 80 years old now, or 70 years old. Yeah, so by choice, he has eaten ramen every day for 50 years. Could you do that?
No. Eating the same food every day for 50 years?
Yeah, but this is not just ramen for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
But at least
once a day.
Once a day.
Yeah.
But still, I don't know.
I did that when I was at university.
When we were all poor.
When we were poor. I
broke.
mean, it's not that we're kind of still poor, but we're
No,
not.
but when we were really broke.
Really broke, like
in college, everybody's broke.
like crawling around on the floor looking for bus money and coins so I could, or walking to school, or.
Aww. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. So yes, I had ramyeon every day for 4 years while I was doing my degree.
Well, maybe Vasana can do it, but I cannot. But
You cannot?
No. We're going to have to call it a wrap.
I want to hear your food.
I got to think about it because I can't do ramen. I'm not a big ramen fan. So
What did our producer say last time?
I don't remember.
She'll probably say cafe latte or something. Latte. Samgyeopsal.
Bye, Vasana.
Yeah, bye.
Here's our final song to take us out for the entire week. Thank you, Waivers, for checking in. 별, 바람, 햇살, 그리고 사랑, which is what I'm sending you. Requested by Benny. This is by Kim Jong-kook. Bye, everybody.
너의 숨결 위로 묻어 나는 행복 별이 돼